यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna
हरे
Hare Hare
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome Swami Mataji and who else is here? Okay, I think we
Hare
are
Krishna
four.
ji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. So, this chapter Lord Krishna is telling how this transcendental knowledge is coming to this world, right? Anyone remember what Lord Krishna says about whom he gave the knowledge first?
Sun, Surya.
Surya, yeah, sun god Vivashwan. Then Vivashwan gave to his next person, Manu. Manu gave to Shwaku. That's how this knowledge is coming down in disciplic succession, right? Now, Krishna wants to revive this knowledge from Arjuna. So, do you remember what question Arjuna asked?
Arjuna asked that Krishna is in the current, is now how gave the information to Surya, which was so many years back.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Yeah. So now the reply of Krishna is, what was the reply of Lord Krishna?
That everybody was there previously also, just that Krishna remembers the thing no one else remembers.
Yes, thank you so much. And then the reason Krishna remembers is because he does not change his body. He does not take material body, right? He's not forced to take material body, correct?
Yeah.
He is always in his spiritual self. So because we are a spiritual self, when we take the material body, because of the material covering, like we studied in last chapter, the lust, it covers us. So because of that, we forget everything. Ignorance. But Lord Krishna never comes under the material modes, material covering. No lust. Krishna is always transcendental to the material world. He is always spiritual. His body is spiritual. His everything is spiritual. His dham is spiritual. So Krishna does not do anything with material. It's separated energy, he says. This material world is separated energy. Although it comes from him, but it is not able to ever cover Krishna. So Krishna's body is never ever like a body like other living entities, like the Jiva Tattva. We are all Jivas. We have to take birth because of our past karma. We are forced to take birth in material world. But Krishna says he comes out of his own pleasure. He appears. So that's what we learn in verse 6. Now today we will continue from verse 7. Now in verse 7 he will tell why he comes. So we went through these slides. So Here is verse 7. These are very famous verses that we are going to recite. And anybody remember these verses or read before or heard it?
Yeah.
Yes, Mataji. So please read this Sanskrit and English, both you yourself.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir-bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself.
Yeah, so Krishna is saying when he comes, why he comes. And let's go to the next verse. We will just maintain the continuity. So in this verse, this one thing is important here is Srijami. So because he is always transcendental, he is not taking a like material coating or material body. So Srijami, this does not mean that Krishna, gets the material body, but he just appears, manifest. It is like a sun. Krishna, Srila Prabhupada gives example, like we studied last week, that like sun is setting and again rising. Sun is always there. In some part of the earth you can see. Like that, Krishna is always there. Only he appears and disappears. So therefore, we don't say Krishna's birth, but we say Krishna's appearance, Krishna's disappearance. And he is not bound by law of karma, right? That's what we studied. This is in the purport we will read that Krishna comes at a scheduled time. Like the sun rises in the morning, like that. So Krishna has a fixed timing to come to this material world. He comes at the end of the Dwapara Yuga and 28th millennium of 7th Manu of a day of Brahma. So if you see this chart, the flow chart, like on the top, it is a life of Brahma. Brahma lives for 100 years. And there is like a very small fraction is 1 day of Brahma. 1 day of Brahma is equal to lifetime of 14 Manus. So within 1 day of Brahma, 14 Manu will be born and dead. And out of one Manu's lifetime, it is called one Manvantara. And that is 71 Divya Yuga. So one Manu will live for 71 multiply 4. Divya Yuga means Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga and Kali Yuga. These are 4 yugas. This Yuga cycle makes one Divya Yuga. Then 71 times 4. That's how one lifetime of a Manu is. And within that one Divya Yuga, that means Satya, Treta, Dwapara and Kali. Then you can see at the bottommost bar line, horizontal line, that at the end of Dwapara Yuga, Krishna appears. So he has not come like every day of Brahma, but once in a lifetime of Brahma, in one day, in one kalpa, in one manvantara, in one Divya Yuga and Dwapara Yuga. It's a fixed routine school. Srila Prabhupada says it's a routine school. So we will read this in the purport, that what is the mission. So Krishna has certain mission. So what is that mission? He will tell in verse 8. Who knows about this verse? Paritranaya sadhunam.
I know.
Okay, you know, and let me see if somebody else. So Mitra Mataji, do you know this verse? Yes or no?
No, I don't know. Can
Okay.
I read?
Aditya, do you know?
Yes, sir. I heard in Mahabharata that Mahabharata serial.
Okay. Go ahead then.
Yes, sir.
Then you go ahead.
Paritranaya sadhunam vinayasya cha दुष्कृतं dharma samasthapanarthya sambhavani yuge yuge.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Read
So to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principle of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium.
Very nice. So he tells his purpose. Last verse he tells when and why he comes, and here he tells like what he does when he appears. And verse 9. Okay, one person is left here is the Somit Mataji. Okay. You read that Sanskrit and then English. Sanskrit verse is at the bottom, Mataji. Swami Mataji.
Okay. SG. One who knows.
No. Just read the Sanskrit at the bottom.
Yeah. Janma karma ka me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah. Dayaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti sodrujna. One who knows transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, takes his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna.
So this is the benefit of knowing Krishna's activities and appearance. Janma karma. So Janma, Krishna says Ajo in verse 6. Huh? Ajo api san abhyaya atma. He says, I am Ajo. That means Aja. That means I do not take birth. But I appear. And here he is saying Janma. So like my birth. So I do not take birth, but there is a birth. And we are celebrating Janmashtami. Janma Ashtami. Janma means birth. Ashtami, he was born on the day of Ashtami of this month, 8th day of this Bhadra month. So then what is that Janma? Janma and Karma, my activities, Cha mein Divyam. So these are Divyam, transcendental. That means they are not like a material birth. These are transcendental. My activity is transcendental, my birth is transcendental. Krishna is clarifying. So that when we understand this, then what happens? When we leave this body, then we will go back to Krishna's world. We will not come back to this material world which is full of miseries. We do not take birth in this mortal world, but we regain our eternal spiritual nature, and we go back to Krishna's pastimes. So this is very powerful verse. In every Hare Krishna temple, this verse is one of the key verse devotees recite. So we should try to memorize this verse. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti so Arjuna. It's a very nice verse. So I will share this one, and we'll go to the website of the Bhagavad Gita sloka number 7. And we'll go through all the purport by Srila Prabhupada, verse. Okay. So verse 7. Anil Prabhu, are you there?
Yes, Prabhu, I'm there.
Just hold on. Let me display this, share this screen. I know you read from the book, but I still, for the other participants, I want to share the screen. Now you guys can see the screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anil Prabhu, please read the Sanskrit yourself again. It's very nice to read these 3 verses. You read everything, Sanskrit and English, translation, and maybe like halfway through the purport, okay? It's a very long purport. Let some other devotee can also read.
Yeah, sure, Prabhu. Yeah,
Okay,
yada yada hi dharmasya gyamir bhavati bharata. Abhyutyam adharmasya tadmintam srujay aham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of religion, at that time I descend myself. The word Rajami is a significant herein. Rajami cannot be used in the sense of creation, because according to the previous verse, there is no creation of the Lord's form or body, since all of the forms are eternally existent. Therefore, Srijami means that the Lord manifests himself as he is. Although the Lord appears on schedule, namely at the end of the Dwapar Yuga of the 28th millennium of the 7th Manu in one day of Brahma, he has no obligation to adhere to such rules and regulations, because he is completely free to act in many ways at his will. He therefore appears by his own will whenever there is a predominance of irreligiosity and disappearance of true religion. Principles of religion are laid down on the Vedas, in the Vedas, and any discrepancy in the matter of properly executing the rules of the Vedas makes one irreligious. In the Bhagavatam, it is stated that such principles are the laws of the Lord. Only the Lord can manufacture a system of religion. The Vedas are also accepted as originally spoken by the Lord himself to Brahma from within his heart. Therefore, the principles of Dharma or religion are the distinct orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. These principles are indicated throughout the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of the Vedas is to establish such principles under the order of the Supreme Lord, and the Lord directly orders at the end of the Gita that the highest principle or religious is to surrender unto him only and nothing more. The Vedic.
So
yeah.
Let's take a stop here and let's discuss. Sorry, I'm in a class. Can I talk to you after a minute? So sorry, I'm in public place, so there was some distraction. All right. So yada yada hi dharmasya glani, right? Wherever there is a decline in religiosity. So what is that religiosity? Srila Prabhupada is explaining here, right, Prabhu, Anil Prabhu? So we studied by Srila Prabhupada's commentary that dharma is something, the rules given by God. So like we have the rules and laws and order by the state. We have the state regulations, we have federal regulations. So similarly, there are spiritual regulations, God's regulations. So those rules and regulations are written down in the law book of God, and which is Vedas. Bhagavad Gita is also spoken by Lord Krishna directly. Krishna is speaking here. So whatever Krishna speaks, that is the law. Okay. So dharmam tu sakshat bhagavad pranitam. So dharma means which is ordained by the law, by the Lord, by God. And Srila Prabhupada makes it very distinct here that at the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, highest principle of religion is to surrender to Krishna. Sarva dharman paritajya mam ekam saranam vraja. So he says, you have to surrender to me. That's what Krishna says, right? So surrender to Krishna is the ultimate dharma. This is the highest level of dharma. This is what Srila Prabhupada is trying to explain to us. Okay. So I think the next person can read the Vedic principles. Maybe Deepa Mataji, you are unmute. So can you read this one, the Vedic principles?
The Vedic principles push one towards complete surrender to him. And whenever such principles are disturbed by the demonic, the Lord appears. From the Bhagavatam, we understand that Lord Buddha is the incarnation of Krishna, who appeared when materialism was rampant and materialists were using the pretext of the authority of the Vedas. Although there are certain restrictive rules and regulations regarding animal sacrifice.
Okay, sorry, I scrolled down. Okay, did you find? I'll mark it. Just hold on.
Okay.
I'll mark it. You
Yeah.
found it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rules and regulations regarding animal sacrifice for particular purposes in the Vedas. People of demonic tendencies still look to animal sacrifice without reference to the Vedic principles. Lord Buddha appeared in order to stop this nonsense and to establish the Vedic principles of non-violence. Therefore, each and every avatara or incarnation of the Lord has particular mission, and they are all described in the relevant revealed scriptures.
Yeah.
No one should be accepted as an avatara unless he is referred to by scriptures. It is not a fact that Lord appears only on Indian soil. He can manifest himself anywhere and everywhere and whenever he decides to appear. In each and every incarnation, he speaks as much about religion as can be understood by the particular people under their particular circumstances. But the mission is the same, to lead people to God consciousness and obedience to the principles of religion. Sometimes he descends personally, and sometimes he sends his bona fide representative in the form of his son or servant or himself in some disguised form.
Okay, Mataji, so let's take a break here. So now Lord Krishna says like he descends. So we have to understand like, who is the authentic avatar, who is the authentic, Krishna's form. So it is like Sri Prabhupada says sometime in his lectures that it is a fashion now to have incarnation of God in every village in India. He used to say like that. So, Avtara, he says, Avtara cannot be manufactured in factories. So, there are some people, they say that you are God, I am God, everybody is God, you can become God. So these are all different kind of like false conclusions. They are called Mayavada. They think that God is also in Maya and we are also in Maya. So as soon as our Maya covering is gone, we become God. So that kind of false thing is not acceptable, because Krishna has very clearly explained earlier that I am very individual, you are very individual, everybody is individual here. Soul is never cut to pieces. Soul cannot be destroyed anytime. Soul is always individual. So the difference is between God and us is that God is great and we are small, we are minute. That's the thing. God is infinite and we are infinitesimal. So incarnation of God. So Krishna appears for certain purpose. Like Prabhupada gives example that Lord Buddha came for certain purpose. So like that. So there are certain purpose. He comes as a Lord Ram, a certain purpose. Lord Narasimha came for certain purpose, to kill Hiranyakashipu, to violate. He was becoming terrorist. He was thinking he is immortal, and he got so many boons from Lord Brahma. But Lord Krishna appeared as Lord Narasimha, and he found a way to kill him. So it is said that if Krishna wants to kill somebody, nobody can save. And Krishna wants to save somebody, nobody can kill. Krishna mare rakhe ke, Krishna rakhe mare ke. So Krishna has a certain purpose and he wants to establish law and order. So he does that. Whenever there is a decline in the following of the rules given by the God, rules given by Krishna, then he sees there is a need for him to come, and then he comes. He may come in any form, like he's saying, he can send his bona fide representatives, or he may come his own. Like he says, he comes as his son, or he can send his son, or he can send his servant, or he can come himself. Like he says, example of like some disguised form. So Krishna appeared 500 years ago as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, disguised as a devotee of Krishna, but he is Krishna himself. But but he was disguised as devotee of Krishna. So Krishna knows when he has to come or he has to send somebody to establish the law and order in the society. Okay, so last paragraph, somebody can read and then we can discuss more. Okay, Aditya, can you read? Are you there?
Yes, sir. The principles of the Bhagavad Gita were spoken to Arjuna, and for that matter to other highly elevated persons, because he was highly advanced compared to ordinary persons in other parts of the world. 2 plus 2 equals 4 is a mathematical principle that is true in the beginner's arithmetic class and in the advanced class as well. Still, there are higher and lower mathematics. In all incarnations of the Lord, therefore, the same principles are taught, but they appear to be higher and lower in varied circumstances. The higher principles of religion begin with the acceptance of the 4 orders and the 4 statuses of social life, as will be explained later. The whole purpose of the mission of the incarnations is to arouse Krishna consciousness everywhere. Such consciousness is manifest and non-manifest only under different circumstances.
Thank you so much. So Srila Prabhupada gives the example of like a math. A math course, the fundamental 2 plus 2 equal to 4. This is true when you are in first grade math or when you are doing a PhD level math. So some basic fundamental truth is same, whether you are Muslim or Christian or Buddhist or whatever you are. The fundamental truth is that we are eternal souls. We are part and parcel of God. This is the fundamental truth. So, but then there are details. The details may vary, that some rituals are different in different, climate and countries and different cultures. The details are different. So like that. So there are some people who are in lower stage of evolution. So for them, you have to give them some basic rules. That don't do this. When you enter in the room, that you have to wash your feet, and before you eat your food, you have to wash your hand, and all those things. Don't take your food to the toilet. These are some of the things, the basic things somebody have to tell somebody who is not civilized. But for those who are civilized, the civilized life begins with 4 status of an order of life. That means Varna Ashrama. So those are Brahmachari, Grihastra, Vanaprastha and Sannyasa. These are the 4 status of social life. 4 orders of life, sorry. And then status of social life means like Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. This is not by birth. Again, we have discussed in the past, and Lord Krishna will explicitly say this. Chatur Varna Maya system Guna Karma Vibhagasa. In this chapter, we will learn in future verses. There's these 4 divisions in orders is created by me, and this classification is based on Guna and Karma. Krishna does not say this is by Guna and Janma. He says it's based on Guna. That means the qualities one has, the tendency one has, and Karma, so one's activity. So psychophysical nature, Srila Prabhupada says, Guna Karma means psychophysical nature. According to psychophysical nature, there are different divisions of the responsibility in society. Somebody has to teach others, somebody has to produce food for others, somebody has to do some menial labor, somebody has to do some business. So these are different classes. So that is civilized life. Anybody who does not follow this system, they are called Pancham class, like the lower out of the Varnasama system. They are uncivilized. So you have a different degree of different levels of details of education for different levels. So you have the different types of math for the PhDs. The fundamental is same. You are standing on the same foundation, but the details are more. So somebody come to the stage of Brahmanical order, then the rules are more strict. So it is like that. But in the lower stage, you have to give some basic rules. Wash your hand before eating, like that. So any discussion on this, whatever we read on this purport? This is very lengthy purport, all three of them. But these are very nice things to learn. What is dharma? We have learned what is dharma, and we have learned why God comes. Okay, and what is avatara means, how to recognize avatara. So avatara has to be mentioned in the scripture, and then the fundamental rules are same, but the details vary. Any discussion, or should we move to the next verse? Yeah, let's move to the next verse so that we can study all of them today. Okay, Swami Mataji, you want to read the next verse?
Yes, Ji.
Okay, go ahead.
To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium.
So you can read one paragraph.
Yes, Ji. According to Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu, holy man, is a man in Krishna consciousness. A person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualification of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is to be understood to be a sadhu. And dukkritam applies to those who do not care for Krishna consciousness. Such miscreants or dukkritam are described as a foolish and the lowest of mankind, even though they may be decorated with a mundane education, whereas a person who is 100% engaged in Krishna consciousness is accepted as a sadhu, even though such a person may be neither learned nor well cultured. As far as the atheistic are concerned, it is not necessary for the Supreme Lord to appear as he is to destroy them, as he did with the demons Ravana and Kamsa. The Lord has many agents who are quite competent to vanquish demons, but the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees who are always harassed by the demonic. The demon harasses the devotee, even though the latter may happen to be his kin. Although Prahlada Maharaja was the son of Hiranyakasipu, he was nonetheless persecuted by his father, although Devaki, the mother of Krishna, was the sister of Kamsa. She and her husband Vasudeva were persecuted only because Krishna was to be born of them. So Lord Krishna appeared primarily to deliver Devaki rather than kill Kamsa, but both were performed simultaneously. Therefore, it is said here that to deliver the devotee and vanquish the demon miscreants, the Lord appears in different incarnations.
Okay. Thank you. So Lord Krishna is saying that Paritranaya sadhuna and vinashaya duskrita, to vanquish the demons and to protect the devotees. Sadhu. Where Prabhupada gives the definition of sadhu. Sadhu is a man who is in Krishna consciousness. He is very straightforward. Deliver the pious. So sadhu, pious people. Deliver them. Well, there are arguments that the sadhu, the pious, they are already delivered. So why Krishna comes? Because they are worshipping Krishna, they are Krishna conscious already. So they will go back to Krishna. So why Krishna has to come? And miscreants. To kill any demon, Krishna does not have to come personally. Krishna can send any natural calamity. He can send earthquake. He can send tornado, or he can send all of this. Nowadays we are suffering because of virus. So Krishna personally doesn't have to come to do these things, but he comes to give his association, to give his love to his devotees. Srila Prabhupada says, the Lord especially descends to appease his unalloyed devotees who are always harassed by the demonic. So the devotees, because they love God, and the demons, they hate God. So they create problem for the devotees. So Krishna came as Lord Narasimha, as I told, to protect Prahlad and to give pleasure to Prahlad and killed Hiranyakashipu. That's killing the demon is secondary reason, but primary reason for him is to appease or to exchange love with devotees. Okay, who can read now? I think Deepa Mataji, your turn again.
In the Chaitanya
Charitamrita.
Charitamrita of Krishnadasa Kaviraja, the following verses summarize these principles of incarnations. Shrishti.
You can read the English. That's fine.
Okay. The avatara or incarnation of Godhead descends from the kingdom of God for material manifestation, and the particular form of the personality of Godhead who so descends is called an incarnation or avatara. Such incarnations are situated in the spiritual world, the kingdom of God. When they descend to the material creation, they assume the name avatara.
So it's very clear, Mataji, that in the spiritual world, God's forms are already there all the time, right? Avatara means only when they descend. So like when someone descends is avatara. But when like Lord Narasimha is always in the spiritual world. Like Lord Ram is there, Lord Krishna is there. Krishna's all different forms are always there. They are expansions. Like Lord Balaram is expansion. Parsuram, Ram, all of them are there. Narasimha, Varaha, all of them are there. When they descend to the material world, then only they are called avatara. Okay, please continue.
There are various kinds of avatars such as Purusavataras, Gunavataras, Leelavataras, Saktiya, Avesha avataras, Manavatara avataras, and Yuga avataras, all appearing on schedule all over the universe. But Lord Krishna is the primeval Lord, the fountainhead of all avatars. Lord Sri Krishna descends for the specific purpose of mitigating the anxieties of pure devotees who are very anxious to see him in his original Vrindavana pastimes. Therefore, the prime purpose of the Krishna Avatara is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees.
Yes, Mataji. So here it is very clear, right? Srila Prabhupada is very clear. The last sentence. The prime purpose of Krishna Avatara is to satisfy his unalloyed devotees. Unalloyed means no alloy. Alloy means like you mix, there is a steel alloy, right? Or the metal alloy. So like one pure gold, and then you mix some impurity to give some different property. Like gold, you want to make little bit hard gold, you have to add some other impurities. So that becomes alloyed. So that means it's not pure gold. The quality of gold is different. So like the alloyed means is something mixed. Unalloyed is unmixed. So pure devotees. So he wants to satisfy his pure devotees, like gopis of Vrindavan, like the Krishna's friends, Krishna's parents. Everybody in Vrindavan is unalloyed devotee, pure devotees. They don't know anything else. They just know Krishna, only Krishna. They take full shelter of Krishna. They are ready to go to hell for Krishna. They don't care anything about themselves. They can sacrifice everything for Krishna. That is unalloyed devotion for Krishna. They love Krishna so much that they are ready to do anything and everything for Krishna. So to reciprocate love with them, that is the prime reason. And there are 6 types of avatara mentioned here. So Purusha avatars are like Vishnu forms. We have Karanodaksha Vishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Shirodaksha Vishnu, like that. Guna avatara. So like Lord Shiva is a Guna avatara of mode of ignorance. Lord Brahma is Guna avatara of mode of passion. Lord Vishnu is Guna avatara of mode of goodness. Then Leela avataras, like different Leelas performed. Like there are 10 principal Leela avataras, right? Varaha, Kacha, then Matsya avatara, you have Parsuram, Ram, Kalaki, Buddha, all those Leela avatara. Shakti Avesha avatara is empowered incarnation like Prithu Maharaj. And Manavantara, so in every Manu's lifetime there is one incarnation like Hansa avatara. Then Yuga avatara, like Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Yuga avatara. He came in this Kali Yuga for propagating the Harinam Sankirtan. So last sentence, Srila Prabhupada will tell about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So who is going to read that one? Who has not read for some time? Sorry, I'm missing the sequence. Just volunteer somebody. Okay, go ahead.
The Lord says, can I?
Go ahead.
The Lord says that He incarnates Himself in every millennium. This indicates that He incarnates also in the age of Kali. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the incarnation in the age of Kali is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who spread the worship of Krishna by the Sankirtana movement, congregational chanting of the holy names, and spread Krishna consciousness throughout India. He predicted that this culture of Sankirtana would be broadcast all over the world from town to town and village to village. Lord Chaitanya, as the incarnation of Krishna, the personality of Godhead, is described secretly but not directly in the confidential parts of the revealed scriptures, such as Upanishad, Mahabharata, and Bhagavatam. The devotees of Lord Krishna are very much attracted by the Sankirtana movement of Lord Chaitanya. This avatar of the Lord does not kill the miscreants, but delivers them His causeless mercy.
Thank you so much. So it's very important to understand about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because actually we are coming in the disciplic succession of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is Krishna himself, but he comes in the garb of his own devotee. So the Siksha that we are getting, this transcendental knowledge, this commentary of Bhagavad Gita we are getting is in the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he gave the knowledge, he revealed the knowledge to his students, the 6 Goswamis, and then they gave it to their disciples, and gradually in that Guru Sishya Parampara, we are called Brahma Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. His incarnation in Kali Yuga is mentioned in scriptures. Krishna Varnam Tusha Krishnam Sango Pango Astra Parsadam. This is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam there. So he is a Krishna Varna. He is Krishna's form. Tu Isha Krishna. But he doesn't have the color Krishna. He doesn't have the blackish color. How he comes? He comes with his weapon. Like Krishna generally he has weapons, right? He has Sankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. So when he appeared in front of his mother Devaki on Janmashtami, he appeared as 400 Vishnu form. Sankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, because that was their mood of devotion by Devaki. Then later on, after hearing the prayers of Devaki and Vasudeva, they requested him to come as baby form. So he transformed his form into baby form. But Krishna is God, always God. It's not that he became baby and helpless. Even though he was such a small baby infant, he killed Putra. And so Krishna is God. It's not that he becomes God, right? So anyway, likewise, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always God. But he is teaching by example. Teaching by example, because Srila Prabhupada says in Bhagavad Gita, the ultimate message, like we said, the dharma, ultimate dharma is sarva dharman parityajya mamekam saranam vraja. So ultimate dharma is to surrender to Krishna. But some people did not surrender to Krishna. Like in this chapter, we are learning that there was some broken chain. Similarly, there was some break. People were not surrendering. Then Krishna thought to show by example, and that's how he took the form of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he did not use a physical weapon, but he showed his love, his weapons were his parshada. So like he had preachers, like Haridas Thakur, like Lord Nityananda. They were going around and converting everybody as Krishna's devotees. This converting means it's not that like you are changing somebody's religion or on all those things. Basically, they are changing their heart to love Krishna. This much. Surrender to Krishna doesn't mean that you become like you go to jail and then you surrender and you put into the bar and something like this. Not like that. It's a sweet surrender. It is what we are longing for. And all the time, like we are suffering in this material world, we are frustrated because we don't know where to find the true happiness. So when we surrender to Krishna, then we get our true happiness. That means we fully love Krishna. So this is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is. And when we are reading this Bhagavad Gita as it is by Srila Prabhupada, that means we are taking association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, last verse for today. A very, very important verse in the series of this. So we have 3 paragraphs there. So I can read this. Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tatvatah yaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. Very, very important verse. Let's see. Now, Anil Prabhu, you are there. Can you read translation in 1 paragraph?
Yes, Prabhu. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities done not leaving upon the body. Also, okay. Yeah, can you wait for 10 seconds, Prabhu? I'll bring my book. Just wait for a few seconds, Prabhu. I'll bring my book.
Okay.
Yeah, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. The Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting the present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from the material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalists and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many, many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into the impersonal Brahma Jyotir of the Lord, is only partial, and there is the risk of returning to this material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and the activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not run the risk of returning to this material world. In the Brahma Samskruti, it is stated that Lord has many, many forms and incarnations. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Ananta Rupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, there are still one and the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction, although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada makes clarification here that impersonalists and yogis, like a Jnana Yoga or Dhyan Yoga, the method is very troublesome because they have to meditate for a very, very long time, thousands of years. And they have to read the scripture, but just, they try to understand by mundane scholarship. They cannot understand by their own material brain. Krishna has to reveal to them. Right? So Krishna gives liberation very easily to those who are surrendered to him. But those who are not surrendered on their own method, they are trying to meditate. There are so many forms of meditation. Somebody yesterday mentioned to me, oh, have you heard this quantum meditation? Someone says candle meditation. Somebody, this meditation, that meditation. All of these are like the void and useless form of meditation. It may give you some kind of like peace of mind for 5 minutes, but again, like you're lost in this material world. But when you meditate on Krishna's words and activities, then the result is that there is permanent benefit. We are not going to return to this material world. That is the permanent benefit of knowing Krishna's appearance and activities in this world. So, okay, let's see another paragraph. Okay, Swami Mataji, you want to read another paragraph?
Yes, Ji. The one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many, many transcendental forms in relationship with his unalloyed devotees. This Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of the Gita personally by the Lord. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and of the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, and who does not waste time in psychological speculations, attains the highest perfectional stage of liberation. Simply by accepting this truth on faith, one can without a doubt attain liberation. The Vedic version, Tattvam Asi, is actually applied in this case. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says unto the Lord, you are the same Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, is certainly liberated instantly, and consequently his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attains perfection, and this is confirmed by the following Vedic assertion. Tam eva viditbati vridyam eti nanya panta vidyate yanaya.
Okay, thank you, Mataji.
Welcome.
Yeah. So Krishna, although he has many forms, he is one, and we are many. Krishna is one. All of Krishna's form is one, and we are many. Krishna is in everyone's heart. I know only in my heart what I'm thinking and what is I'm desiring. You know what you are desiring and what is your plan and what you are feeling. But I don't know what is your feeling. I know the pleasure and pain of this body. You know your body. We are called Kshatragya. We can read this more in chapter 13. But Krishna is the knower of everybody because he is the super soul, right? He is like the witness bird, and we are like the bird who is eating the fruit. That means we are performing karma, and Krishna is sitting side by side our soul in the same tree, the two birds. So this body is tree, and then I myself is the soul who is enjoying the activities, the fruits, and Krishna as a Paramatma is simply witnessing, right? So Krishna is one, although he has many, many forms, and we are many. So we have to understand on the strength of the authority of the Veda. That means when we understand this conclusion of the Vedas, that means we will not waste time in making research, because something which is beyond our reach, we cannot understand it. So Instead of wasting our time, somebody who accepts the Vedas, eternal truth, they save time and they progress spiritually. Actually, Prabhupada says that one can, without a doubt, attain liberation. Tattvamasi is like that you are. So that means when we say, okay, you are that Supreme Lord Krishna. So at that time, he says, somebody who has this realization, not just by parrot, like not by parrot, sound, but realized knowledge, then certainly one gets liberated and enters into the spiritual world. Okay, so the last paragraph is explaining these two lines of the Vedas. Who is next one? Anybody? Who has not read for some time? Okay, Deepamati, I think you are the one last.
One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there is no other way to achieve this perfections. Sweta Swatara Upanishad, that there is no alternative means that anyone who does not understand Krishna, Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in the mode of ignorance, and consequently he will not attain salvation simply, so to speak, by licking the outer surface of the bottle of honey or by interpreting the Bhagavad Gita according to mundane scholarship. Such empiric philosophers may assume very important roles in the material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Such puffed up mundane scholars have to wait for the costless mercy of the devotee of the Lord. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection.
Thank you so much. So the perfection is to know Krishna, to understand Krishna. So Prabhupada says, if someone does not understand Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so we have to understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means he is a person, but not like one of the person like us. But he is the Supreme Person. He is the origin of everything, cause of all causes. So when we understand Krishna like that, then we are beyond the mode of ignorance. Otherwise, when we don't understand Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that means we are under ignorance and there is no possible for liberation. Srila Prabhupada is hitting directly to those who are doing mundane scholarship on Bhagavad Gita. There are many scholars. They are academically very much qualified. They are PhDs. They are writing books on Bhagavad Gita. They are writing their own, comments and reviews and so many things. They are writing their research articles on Bhagavad Gita, but they are just doing material exercise. There is no spiritual value because they are not practicing Krishna consciousness. They are not practicing the instruction given by Krishna. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada tells them they are simply wasting their time like licking the outer surface of honey bottle, because they are not entering into the practice. Okay, so like like you are reading a cookbook, you got a recipe book. Okay, how to make halwa. So you just read it. Take water, take sugar, take suji, heat them, boil them, cook them, put some flavor in them, blah blah blah. You can read them, and you are happy. You never make halwa, right? So Bhagavad Gita is a practical, manual of life. So whatever Krishna says, we have to apply that. When we apply that, Krishna says, Man mana bhava mad bhakto madhyajam mam namaskuru. Mat karma krit mat paramo. He says, you do my work. He says, you work for me. You offer everything to me. He says, those who are offering their food to me, they are liberated. He's saying those who know about my activities and my birth, they are liberated. all of this instruction Krishna is giving. Krishna is saying, Sadatam kirtanto mam, yadam tascha dridhavrata. So always you perform kirtan. He says, you always remember me, you always glorify me. So somebody says, no, you just, read this. Krishna is like a great hero, historical person. He is not God, but he gives the message of God. Blah, blah, so many assumptions are there, so many scholarships they do. But they don't practice. Simply, they ignore Krishna's instruction. They just say, okay, don't have to do any kirtan, don't have to do any glorification of Krishna. Why should you need to do? You are God yourself. So why should you glorify some other God? You glorify yourself. You are great. So Srila Prabhupada is hitting those things like empirical philosophers. They may have an important role in the material world, but they are not eligible for liberation. So when someone does like mundane scholarship on Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, they cannot understand Krishna's birth and activities. Only way we can be revealed, and that the revelation happened to us when we pray to Krishna. And then the prayer is standard prayer given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this age. In Kali Yuga is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. These are the 16 syllable Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and that is going to help us. This Hare Krishna Mahamantra is like a job application. So we are praying for Krishna's service. My dear Krishna, please engage in your service. My dear Krishna, please engage in your service. We keep chanting. So Krishna gives service. That means with our mind and senses, we can engage in Krishna's glorification. Whenever we're chanting Krishna's name, we're connecting with Krishna. We're serving Krishna. So when we are applying this knowledge by chanting Krishna's name, by worshipping Krishna, by offering our food to Krishna, by offering the fruits of our labor to Krishna, all of this when we are doing, that means we are actually testing the honey inside the bottle, not outside the bottle. But those who are only theoretically study the Bhagavad Gita, don't apply in their life, that means they are leaking the bottle of honey from outside. They cannot get any sweetness. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada makes a very important comment. Such puffed and mundane scholars have to wait for the causeless mercy of the devotee of Lord. So this is very important. Krishna also does not like to give himself, but Krishna's devotee, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's devotees, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's follower, it is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita that love of God was there, locked up in a storehouse of love of God. The Krishna's associates in form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, Lord Nityananda, Haridas Thakur, Srivasa, Gadadhara, all of these associates and Goswamis, they break open the storehouse of love of God and they distributed to everyone. They flooded everywhere. It is said that they flooded the entire earth with love of Godhead. And old, young, men, women, everybody was drowning in love of Krishna. That's how their mercy was. So Krishna's devotees only can give causeless mercy. Causeless mercy means no cause. I have not done anything. I don't have anything by which I deserve. I do not deserve by any means, but I am given. So that is the causeless mercy of devotees of the Lord. Devotees have the bhakti and then they can distribute the bhakti of Krishna. So therefore, we should always seek, to serve the devotees. But causeless mercy comes. But it doesn't mean that I don't do anything and they will keep me giving. It's not like that. As soon as we get this knowledge, we should try to connect more and more with Krishna. And the way we connect to Krishna is by being with his devotees, learning with the devotees, chanting and hearing about Krishna together with devotees. And that makes our life perfect, because Krishna is describing here that we can learn about Krishna, we can learn about Krishna's appearance and his activities through his devotees. And when we learn that, then Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti. So after leaving this body, there is no punarjanma. Then mam eti sojuna mam eti. So we'll go back to Krishna. So congratulations to everyone knowing about Krishna's birth and appearance activities. Very, very important verse. And happy Janmashtami to everyone. And I hope everybody can, meditate on Krishna's activities, Krishna's name, Krishna's pastimes, and make your successful Janmashtami tomorrow in America. So, any discussion, any question, any excitement to share? We can take another few minutes.
Prabhu, in the previous version, I did not understand the
Krishna Prabhuji.
Tatvamasi.
In the previous verse, you did not understand what?
The Tattvam Asi, that concept. Tattvam Asi.
You are that. I mean, that's the Vedic aphorism. Tattvamasi. It's a Vedic aphorism. It's that means like when you are saying Krishna, that you are that supreme personality of Godhead, then that is a perfect knowledge. But there are like some impersonalists. They say each other Tattvamasi. So like when I tell you Tattvamasi, that means I am saying you are that God. That is false. But if I say that same thing to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then that is perfect. If I say Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you are that supreme person, God, Krishna, then that is perfect interpretation. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself. Okay? But there is a misconception. They are called Mayavadis, impersonalists. They say each other, Tattvamasi, you are that God. So that is false. So Srila Prabhupada has touched that very slightly, but it is more explained more in detail in Chaitanya Charitamrita chapter 7 that we are studying nowadays. So there is a study group of Chaitanya Charitamrita. So that's like a more deep science of like Krishna consciousness. So we have to kind of first finish this Bhagavad Gita, and we'll be getting different concepts, and Srila Prabhupada makes quick commentary somewhere, and somewhere he gives more detail. He's writing to his Western audience, although he's quoting different verses from Vedas for Indian scholars to make it authentic, but his focus is more for the people like us who are in Western countries and who are lost into technologies and then the material concept of life. So he tries to make his commentary relevant to us, but there are some Vedic aphorisms quoted, and he tries to help us that we should not get into this Mayavadi concept of addressing each other as you are Narayana, I am Narayana, Tattvamasi, not that. But we have to address only Krishna as Tattvamasi. Is that clear?
It was the last this one which we read, no, second last one.
Yeah. In this, right?
Yeah.
In this verse,
No, the last one which we read with the last.
I remember. I don't remember which page was it. Tattvamasi.
The page where we concluded in that page.
No, the verse 9.
Yeah.
I think I went back. Okay. Yeah. So I try to make clarification that Tattvamasi here, Srila Prabhupada is this word?
Yeah. The Vedic version Tattvamasi is actually applied in this case.
Yeah, this case means like in Krishna's case. That means when you are accepting Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then Tattvamasi is applied. But you cannot apply Tattvamasi to a simple Jiva. But you have to apply Tattvamasi to Krishna's incarnations. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says unto the Lord, you are the same Supreme Brahma, the personality of Godhead. This quoting here, you are the same Supreme Brahma, the personality of Godhead. This is the meaning of Tattvamasi. Okay? Okay. Yeah. So you cannot, I mean, the Mayavadis or impersonalists, they say each other, Tattvamasi, Tattvamasi. That is false. Srila Prabhupada is saying that this Tattvamasi is applied here. That means in case of God, but not on case of Jiva. So when you apply this Tattvamasi aphorism to Krishna, then you are certainly liberated.
So,
Who is that? Sachin Prabhu?
yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu. Hari Bol.
So, Hari Bol Prabhuji. Nice to see you after a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today's, the three verses which we have done is 4.7, 4.8, and 4.9.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I want to say is that this is beyond my understanding. I don't know when I will be able to understand these three verses.
Yes.
In reality, yeah.
That is your humility, and we have to be like that. I mean, we cannot understand anything unless Krishna revealed to us. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. That is for sure. That is true. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It seems
Thank you,
like we
Prabhu.
are at 45 already here.
Yes, Prabhu.
And everybody, happy Janmashtami.
Happy Janmashtami, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Happy Janmashtami.
Hare Krishna, sir.
Happy Janmashtami. Hare Krishna. We'll see you next week.
Happy Janmashtami. Hare